Is this thing on? Hello. Welcome back, everybody. It has been quite a while since I was live. I had a tournament last weekend, so that's why I wasn't live last weekend. And that's actually has a lot to do with what we're going to do today, which is we are having a special guest, FM Nate Solon, to come on and review some of my tournament games and hopefully give me a bit of an idea of what I need to work on going forward. That will start in about, 38 minutes. So very excited about that. We do have to page for my computer though, because the last time I tried to have a video call and stream, my computer died. So fingers crossed everything's gonna be okay. But I think it will be. I'm pretty sure. But in the meantime, we're gonna be on Chess TV in about 8 minutes. So I figured we could warm up with some Puzzle Rush and then maybe do some Blitz games before Nate gets on the call. So that is the plan. Oh, and I was gonna do, okay, so I can do, hold up. Pause. Wait for it. I can do a timer. So I can start the timer, and then when it goes off, then we'll know it's time for Nate to be here. I guess it's not exactly 35 minutes, but it's like close enough. All right. The problem with this is not my scene for doing Puzzle Rush, but it's okay. Sorry, a little bit behind the scenes issues. Why does it do this? Okay. How have all of you guys been? How's life? How's chess? How's the weather? As I find my better playlist. Sounds kind of a banger though. Okay, let's go. I know you won't be able to see the puzzles as I do them, but hopefully we just get it in one try, get 30 in one try, and it doesn't even matter. Let's go. Oh, a little bit laggy. Oh my goodness. You guys see this? I'm still gonna try for 30 though. Oh. This must be. All these mates in once. Oh, I can't do that. I don't know what else there was there. My mouse could cooperate, that would be great. Boom. Is it this or taking on 4? But bro, what else was I supposed to do there? Where was my other check? So annoying. I don't know. What was this? I considered this. I didn't see the follow-up. Oh, that check. Okay, that makes sense. How's the music, by the way? It's really loud for me. Let's see. Hey guys, welcome, welcome. Yeah, I know it's the wrong scene, but I don't have the countdown timer in the other scene, and I don't feel like copying it over. Because I'm lazy, okay? That's it. But we got 30, so it doesn't even matter. We're just gonna play Blitz now. Do you use any chessable courses during your study? I think if you... The main kind of chessable course I used were, like, the what are they called? The free and fit? What are they? The... short and sweet. The short and sweet ones for openings. I think those are really good. Especially, like, under my level. And then if you really like it, you can get the full version. Okay, let's play some Blitz. I have not played chess in so long. Like, basically a whole week. Which is crazy. I played a little bit of Anonymous Bullet this week. But other than that, let's just play 3-minute. We're at 1908. Oh, I'm gonna be so sad if we just end up dropping. That's so unfortunate. Where's the big rookie? It's still in my kitchen, rookie. I gotta have chess stuff all over my house, not just in my stream room. Alright, Blitz time. Oh, okay, this is fine. Guys, we'll talk about it when Nate's here, but I'm low-key considering stopping playing the freaking London. It's so annoying. I shouldn't say that, because it's the only opening I know, but... Oh, gosh, what? There's just certain lines of it that are just, like... They're just not the vibes. I don't know. Rookies belong in the kitchen. Switch to Jobava? I play Jobava sometimes. Like against the King's Indian. Well, I guess I'll go here. Go after that pawn. Ready to play. I like that. Oh, they blocked my bishop. Oh well. So if I go here and here and here and like line up there, that feels nice. Like I just have so many threats here. Maybe not. Wait, what? I mean, I guess I'm just winning a pawn, but... Maybe here? Are they gonna try to escape to the other side? Yeah, they are. I'm really slow. Maybe here? Just go after that pawn? Oh, this is great. Yeah, thank you. Because then I can go... Oh, wait, no, that doesn't work anymore. Wait, maybe it kind of does. here? I have ideas. I have ideas. I'm only down like 15 seconds. It's 2 a.m. for you? Yeah, don't worry about it, Urki. I know it's super late for non-American time zones. Which is why I usually try to go earlier, but this is just the time we worked out. No worries, guys. I should be good, Urki. Thanks, though. This might be crazy, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Like, I don't know. Just isolate that pawn further. So, just trading, right? They go there, there, there. Okay, how about a check? And then here. Ah. Bang, bang. It doesn't quite... So low on time. I can't afford this. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, here. You just gotta go fast now. Ah. Okay. Dang it, they're winning all my pawns. Okay. This should be a draw. If I can handle it. Oh, I should have gone up. That's okay. Sheesh. Oh, this was such a bad idea. I forgot. Okay. I messed it up. 2 seconds? I don't know what I was thinking. Trading the knights off. Okay, they know it. That's okay. The song's such a banger. Okay, 1902. How much time do we have left? Definitely time for at least one more. Alright, great. We get white again. Oh. Okay, this line is fine. I don't mind this at all. In fact, oh no. Like, why? Here. I guess the plus side of this is I can kick the knight out now. Oh, is my knight, or my bishop trapped? No, it's fine. If I play here, they take... No, it doesn't quite work. I guess I just have to do this. This was the same outcome, I'm realizing. Right. Like this, maybe? So I can play here, maybe? I'm trying to get my rook onto the h-file. I win 10 points if I win this. That would be big for me. I kind of like this. Now I have tricks. All right, we're down a pawn. Hey, thinker teacher. Nice to see you. Blockading this pawn. I don't like my king position at the moment, but now it's okay. No, 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 no. Whoa. Oh. Oh no. Oh god. We're just down a rook. You know, what's the worst that could happen? No, 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 no. Maybe this is helping them do what they want. Can't quite decide. Like here, maybe? Yeah, I saw that, but like... Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh! Goodness. Trying for stalemate, it's not really working. Ah! I mean, this was bad too, but alright, it's fine. Oh. Well, now we did drop below. Oh well. We go again. I didn't lose that many points for that one because it was a higher person. This one is too. I win 11 points for this. 2043. Let's just try to get back over 1900 and then we'll be fine. We need to try and go for 2000 one of these days. Go back. I also need to keep an eye if he texts me. Or messages me, rather. Right. I kind of like when they overextend here. So I can play here. The C pawn's a little bit weak, but oh. I'm gonna go here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I can play here, but they have this as the issue. I don't think it works. So now I should go here and trap the bishop. Maybe? You're the last person I played? GG's. You totally outplayed me. Well done. Okay, what is my plan here? Maybe double on the e-file? Oh, that's asking for a fork, huh? Let's maybe bring this back, just like get our pieces a little bit more organized. The bishop can move, I just double. Which I might do anyway. And then c8, maybe? So they're having all their pieces tied down to holding onto that bishop, which I think is a mistake. Yeah. Because now it can't come here because I take with check. Yeah. And then I guess resigns. Wow, I got 11 points for that. Let's go. Was that the best move? I feel like, or I shouldn't say that. Was that a mistake? King h2 was better here. Like, I saw this plan, but, like, I just take and... Yeah, it's just GG. Nice. Hey, DBL Click, thanks so much for the 3 months. Thanks for subscribing, really appreciate it. We can have a look at that last game. I see you guys talking about the opening. Where is it? Sorry, this is gonna look ugly for half a second. Where? Okay, we are at the exact same rating we started at. This one. Yeah, this is pretty standard stuff. You just You put a lot of pressure on the e5 square, especially if I jump my knight in there. And then there's a certain point where I was supposed to take the knight on e4, I think. I can't remember. Probably here. Like when I'm encouraged to. Because the reason I drop my bishop back is to like do this Ooga Booga plan, but there's just, that plan just doesn't work because the f-pawn is forward and it's not moving, so I should have just taken here. Takes, and then probably this. Because then take the rook. So then you probably take, and then I can go, is that fine or do I drop back? Bishop takes d6. And then jump the knight. And it's just equal, it's like 0.27 here, 0.3. I think it's similar to the stone wall, if not exactly that. All right, we have 9 minutes. The problem with playing one more blitz game is if I lose, like, then I'm just under. So we could play bullet. I'm also at 2008. Okay, I'd rather drop on blitz. Okay, one more game. We'll try and go fast. Oh great, I love this line. So I can go to d5. I think this is actually better here. Then I can castle. Then this. Maybe this doesn't work. Maybe I have to move my bishop first. Oh. I'm forgetting how this goes. Let's just go here. I can't remember if there's a tactic here. It's not quite working. Maybe I can go here? Okay, first let's kick this guy out. This is fine. Because I think I have like stuff like this. Can I sack yet? Like, please, for the love of God. Just take this pawn. Now the d pawn's hanging. I'm ready to swing over to g4. I'm so slow. Simple chess. So this move. Oh, it's okay. I'll go here. Like, they have this, but I have... Oh. Here. Thank you, JSCN17 for the sub. 7 months. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. What do I do here, guys? I need to go after this. Whoa, 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 whoa. I think this is fine. Everything's hanging. Alright, we gotta get into bullet mode. It's mate, it's mate, it's mate, it's mate. Oh, it's so mate. Oh my gosh. I wasn't sure. I didn't see it all the way. Alright, let's go. That's a great one to end on. Nice. Okay, we got about T-minus 3 minutes until Nate comes on. So let me get everything ready. Let me change this. What's it called? The title. Stream info. Oops. All right, that's done. We're gonna kill the music. Sorry about that. We need to close out of this and go to my meet. And guys, start praging. Prage for my computer. I think it's gonna be fine, but it has been acting up a little bit recently. So I'll explain this again when Nate's here, but the plan today is I played in a tournament a little less than a week ago on Sunday, an over-the-board tournament. And I had kind of a disappointing performance, but I think the games are really good to learn from. And so I wanted to bring in a coach, a stronger player than me, to review my games with me and tell me what I can do better. We've had Nate Solon on, not the stream, but on my YouTube channel before. So if you scroll back far enough, you can find that video. I think it's called he like this coach revealed my weakness or something like that. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Welcome all the new chatters. Hope you're having a good night. Okay, just making sure we're all good. So if I go into this, okay, great. This is terrifying. Was the tournament FIDE or USCF rated? Yes, it was USCF rated. And I lost about like 38 rating points in this tournament. Because at least one of my opponents was super underrated. He gained like 200 points. Okay. I'm gonna need... And I need you guys to tell me if you can hear once we get here. I'm gonna try to have the scene set up in advance. Those are rookie numbers. Oh, I've lost more, don't worry. I've had worse tournaments. So my USCF is sitting around, I think like 1550. We're hoping to get that up a little bit more this year. It's really going to be the focus. Okay. Hello. Oh, 1 second. I can't hear you. I'm not sure if it's me or you.
Okay, what about now?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Okay, great. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just got back. I play. For me, I don't play a ton of tournaments, but I played one last weekend, the U.S. Amateur East. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Oh, yeah, I saw people tweeting about it. That's how I know about it.
Yeah, it's a fun. I would say. I don't know. It's got some big pluses and big minuses. It's a lot of fun, but it's also, it's just crazy how big it's gotten and how crowded it is now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. And where's that at?
It is in Parsippany, New Jersey.
Oh.
But that's east. There's also, the other directions. Like the north is in Chicago. I think there's also a west and a south. I don't know if they're in the same place every year.
Oh, interesting. I just, do not have you on the stream yet. I have your voice on the stream. I'm having them tell me if they can hear you or not.
Okay.
But we are live. I'm assuming you're just gonna be able to just share your screen. Is that the plan?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, would you mind doing that now and then I can get the scene set up?
Okay, great.
Perfect. Thank you again for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Wait, okay. Probably this.
Chat, can you guys hear him better now? Sound is good? Okay. Oh, perfect. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. I got this all set up last night and it just snapped right into place. Let me just adjust one thing and then we'll be good.
I'm planning to like revamp my background for YouTube, but that hasn't happened yet. So it's like still everything is back there.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Oh, okay, one thing. We do have a chess.com logo and we're on Chess TV, so is there any way we could use the chess.com analysis?
Oh yeah, no problem. Is chess.com? I could do chess.com, I could do chessbase.
Um, I I don't know about ChessBase. I'm not entirely sure. I know Chessful's good and I know chess.com is good. Does anybody
Okay.
know that?
Okay, no problem. Sorry, I think you had even mentioned that and I forgot to do that. My bad. But let me just
Oh yeah, no worries. And I have it on the same site as well when I analyze, so don't worry about it.
okay, let me just so I'm gonna do I can do a chess.com library.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think it works too, just in the like, it's under like learn and then like analysis. But I think that doesn't save it is the issue. But
Okay.
we'll have him on in just a moment, guys. Be patient, please.
Okay, I've got it.
And I'll do a nice intro.
Okay, I think let me just share again.
Yes, perfect. Just gonna scooch a couple of things. Oh.
Wait, does it if I resize my window, it probably messes you up. So
Well,
okay.
yeah, you can set it however you want, and then I'll resize from there. So if you want
Yeah,
to make it
sure.
any bigger or smaller, go for it.
All right, yeah, I think this is fine.
That's good. Okay. And then, oh yeah, I just have to make it about that big. That should be good enough. Okay, guys, here we go. It's a little. I'm gonna put it down just a tish. How's that look, chat? And can we hear him okay? Is the volume good?
Should I say something?
Oh, yeah, that'd probably be
Okay.
good. I guess they told me before it was fine, so perfect. Okay, great. Okay, everybody, welcome if you're just joining. We have a special guest today, Nate Solon, who I've had on the YouTube channel before, but never on the stream. So we're very excited to have him here. He has been just winning tournaments left and right lately from the last podcast appearance I heard you on. And he's an awesome coach. He also recently started a program called the Chess Gym, which you guys can check out. I think if we type guest, I have that. And I'll let you chat about that probably a little bit at the end as we're signing off. Just kind of tell people where they can find you. But without further ado, I played a tournament on Sunday. It was a game in 45 with 5-second delay. And I had a bit of a disappointing result. I scored 2.5 out of 5. And so today I'm having Nate help me analyze my games and figure out where to go from here, essentially, is the plan. So take it away, Nate.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, well, thank you for having me on. I'm definitely, a fan of your channel and your journey. So I'm excited to be here and dig into the games. Well, I know. Should we just get straight into the games?
Sure, if you want to, or yeah, if you want to, chat about anything else.
Well, I guess we can do chess gym stuff at the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, probably just as kind of a sign off of,
Okay,
uh,
great.
yeah, where they can
Well, yeah,
find your stuff.
let's get right into it. So I did see that you saw you were a little distracted for this tournament because of an ill family member. So I hope everyone is okay and things are going okay on that front.
Yeah, it was my grandpa. He's doing a lot better now, but he went in the hospital last week, and he was doing really bad over the weekend, and my family was like, just focus on the tournament, just call after. So I didn't know when I called after the tournament was over if it was going to be good news or bad news. So that was
Hmm.
just kind of weighing on me the entire tournament. So obviously that causes a lot of anxiety, which you know I may or may not have played this way, whether or not I had that hanging over my head. But I think it's
Uh-huh.
just good to have that context of like, yeah, there were just moments where I lost focus, as
Yeah.
we will see.
Well, I'm definitely really glad to hear he's doing better, and yeah, obviously that's going to be very distracting and make things hard to perform at your best for sure. Um,
Indeed.
so I was also wondering, but it sounds like you reached out to me. I know you often like to kind of do your own stuff with chess very successfully, right? Like you've gone from 0 to 2000 like faster than just about anyone. So I did have this sense that you were, sort of pretty unhappy with how this tournament went. Although then when I saw it was like 2.5 out of 5, I was like, not that bad. Like I've had tournaments where I lost literally all my games. So,
Well,
50% doesn't sound too bad. I was kind of curious, were there other things about the sort of the details or the quality of the games that you were quite not satisfied with this tournament?
so I think like one of them was just there was at least one game this the second round I believe where I lost. I wasn't really sure where I went wrong, and like
Mhm.
most of the time when I'm analyzing my games, it's like I can pretty much pinpoint like the moment where I blundered or like made a mistake that allowed a tactic or whatever. But I've always told myself like if I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong, it's not really worth wasting like hours of my own time trying to like dig deep into engine lines. I might as well just ask a stronger player. So that's kind of where I'm at for some of these mistakes. And I think I'm just also like ready for a bit of a change in my study plan. I have a bigger tournament. I'm planning to play in a few more big tournaments this year, and I just like to
Mhm.
perform a little bit better. Um, yeah, that's kind of why I played in two other tournaments this year, and this was the first one where I had actually lost any games. So
Uh-huh.
that's kind of why it also hurt a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, yeah, I hate to tell you, it gets much worse than this. It's like if 50% is your worst tournament.
Well, I've had worse in the
Yeah,
past. Do not worry.
no. But okay, yeah, well, let's check out the games. So round one, right? You're white, and you do go for the London. I'm also a London system player, so I'm
Awesome.
not a London hater. I like it. And then you mentioned you're looking. So you're right. There's two choices here, right? As far as move order, you can go with knight f3, or you can play c3 first. Um, and in your notes, you mentioned you were looking at knight f3, but then you didn't feel that confident. Um, and you just switched to c3. Actually, this is kind of funny because I did this exact same thing in my most recent tournament.
Oh, really?
I, I had this position. My preparation was also knight f3. I've been using like one of the London chessable courses where that does use the knight f3 move order. But actually, I went through pretty much the exact same thought process that you did. I was playing, against a player where I was substantially higher rated. So at the board, I was starting to think, okay, if I go and I don't know how depending on how many people are London players, I don't know if people will be familiar with this, but the point is, if knight f3, knight c6, knight d2, there's this big main line here where black plays queen b6, and you don't have a very good way to defend b2. So usually you play d takes c5, queen takes b2, and it's this pawn sacrifice, and it gets like very, very wild and complicated. It's very like
Yeah.
against the reputation of the London. Everyone thinks London is boring. This is like absolute insanity. Like rook b1, queen c3. They can play e6 or g6, and it gets very crazy from here. I think the main line goes something like this, and then you like sacrifice your knight, and It's
Yeah.
and it's like if you're wondering like why these moves make sense, like it's very hard to understand why these moves make sense if you don't have the engine on, or even if you do, honestly.
Exactly.
Um, so there's a lot of memorization here, and it's tough. And so yeah, the I went through the same thought process as you, which does make sense, but at the same time, I think it's a problem if like you spend the time to prepare something and then you don't feel confident to use it. Like that kind of indicates that mismatch between the preparation and what you use in a game is not what you want.
Right. And I had prepped that like big long like sacrificing main line like probably months earlier, and then with all the like stressful stuff in my family, I hadn't really done much opening prep, so I was looking at it a bit the night before, and I like based weirdly like at the board was like I don't really feel like going into this right now, and so I just played C3, which I guess comes with its own territory of like having to know what to do.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think I do, based on my own experience and yours, in a way, I feel like this knight f3, knight d2 main line is like a little impractical because it's difficult to always be ready. It's always awkward when there's a line that takes a ton of work to be prepared for, but that you'll rarely actually get to use it.
yeah,
But I feel it's not very time efficient in terms of my preparation. So that I don't love about it. Now, having said that, realistically, I don't think most of your opponents are going to be well prepared there. And if they're not well prepared, you have a good chance of crushing them quickly because uh, if someone doesn't know what they're doing here, like they could play queen takes a2, which is very bad.
yeah,
Even on queen c3, there's a lot of lines where if black messes up, their queen just gets trapped. Um, so even if you don't know everything, you could crush a lot of people quickly here. Um, but it is, if you're going to play against someone very well prepared, it's tough because it's like there's these long forcing lines, and that's not even the end of it. Then, like at move 30, you get into this super weird end game, which is also very difficult, and the lines just continue. So
yeah,
I think you could go either way, but I would say the bigger thing is like commit to something and make sure. A question that I'm trying to remember to ask is whenever I'm preparing an opening, I want to always be asking myself, would I be confident playing this in over the board game? Because if not, my preparation actually has no value.
right,
So you could go either way. I do feel C3 is probably a little bit easier. It keeps like more sane position. If you just like to play these London structures, kind of keeps the game on that track a little bit more. Um, but it's not as aggressive. If you want to potentially take someone out of their comfort zone and sort of blow them out quickly, you're probably not going to do it with C3.
yeah,
Knight f3. But actually, this is the so on the previous move, C3 or knight f3 are both completely valid. But combining C3 with knight f3 here is actually a little bit weird.
oh, yeah. I guess I just so rarely play C3 that I'm like, well, I guess I'll
Mhm.
just keep developing pieces.
Right. And this is the problem with abandoning your preparation, right? Because now you're in a line you don't know.
Yeah.
But here's where we kind of get into the history of the London.
Mm.
So, the London has gone through the whole cycle of as being trendy and everyone hates it and whatever. Back in the day, it was considered very innocuous. And actually, this is one of the main reasons why, because in this position, black can go queen b6. Usually you play queen b3, right? This is like the typical way of
Yeah.
defending. C4. And then generally you don't want to initiate this trade because black gets the open A file.
Yeah. I
And
played
then
this
this
a bit as
pawn,
black.
yeah. And so this tends to be good. This can go either way. Black can initiate the trade or white can initiate the trade. But generally, you actually want to be the one recapturing with that rook pawn because you get your rook open
Yeah.
and you can advance it. So this is pretty good for black. So typically you would play queen c2, but then black has this nice move bishop f5
Right.
with the tempo on your queen, and you can't take that because queen takes f5, queen b2. Your rook is trapped. This doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you have to go queen c1. So you get in this position where black gained like a few tempi for bishop f5. If anyone is better here, it's black. I mean, it's not a disaster for white. You can just play this position. Like It's not exciting, but you're not losing by any means. Um, but for years this was considered like the best way to play against the London, and everyone knew this, and everyone knew it was good for black. Um, so actually, the whole point of this the two bishop f4 move order where you don't play knight f3. One of the big points of that is in this exact position, you can play knight d2 and delay knight.
Oh,
Um, and now if black tries to do the same thing, this is absolute nonsense here because I'll just take your bishop. The rook, here you could play rook b1. I think maybe queen b1 is even better because you can, oops, not bishop, but rather knight e2. Queen has to move, you're, so black's down a piece,
oh,
white is crushing. So basically, this is actually one of the big ideas of why you delay knight f3 in the first place, to be able to play knight d2 in this position and avoid this line with queen b6, which is not good.
I
Um,
vaguely remember this
yeah,
now that you're bringing it up. But yeah, I just completely forgot that knight BD2 is the move.
exactly. So knight, that's one idea. And then as far as the knight f3 move, that's what people, so people figured that out and they started playing the London again. Then at some point, I think this knight f3 move order, someone told me this, I don't know if this is even true. I believe there was a training camp with Carlsen and Kramnik actually at one point where they developed this knight f3 move order, and they figured, so knight f3, knight c6. Now here again, remember the whole thing we're trying to avoid is this position.
Right.
But they figured out you can also do that by playing knight d2 here, and then if queen b6, there's this really interesting pawn sacrifice. So this is, it's sort of like the openings it starts being a lot easier to remember and use when you can connect everything together in this kind of story. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to remember if it's all isolated moves and lines, but there's like a story and a logic that ties it all together. That was like so much too much of a digression. At
No,
this
this
rate,
is
well, at
good.
this rate, it's only going to be like 16 hours to get through the 5 games.
Right.
But your opponent
Uh,
played knight h5, which is a totally different thing. Bishop g3.
yeah.
Um, I would consider taking. I don't actually know what if this is like theory, but I would think about taking this pawn. That
Oh, I
might
don't
be.
know if I considered that.
I don't know if this is good here. Probably black is gonna like take and play e6. But you could play this structure with like bishop d3 castles, knight d2.
Yeah. I do play some lines where I leave the bishop for the taking on f4 and then just it supports a knight jumping into the center on e5, but
Yeah. Yeah, so I think you can play it this way too. Um, I mean bishop g3, this is like a pretty standard London type move. And queen c2. Your opponent plays c. It's a c4, typically they play that when they're hitting the queen. Um, doesn't I don't think it makes as much sense when your queen is already on c2. And
yeah,
I think you had, go
he
ahead, go
said
ahead.
after the game he thought here that now is the moment for bishop f5, but I don't actually think that quite works.
Mhm. Yeah, I think d takes c5 is a good response here
Yeah.
because black has to take your queen because the bishop, they can't do this.
Right.
Um, and then here, this doubled b pawns, this is not nearly as good when they're isolated. Because in the previous situation, black had the pawn on c4, so that pawn island was still connected, and they could go b5, b4. Here, these are isolated. That makes them a lot weaker, and I would even think something like knight a3, bishop back, and my knight can come into b5.
Mm.
I think this looks pretty good for white. These pawns here are kind of a liability. Knight c7 is an annoying threat. My knight can never be expelled from b5.
Yeah.
So I would say I agree with you. I think maybe your opponent is misremembering something because this looks good for white.
Yeah.
Me. They played c4, knight d2, so you're developing. e4 looks like a very good move. Um, when you see black's pawns like this, typically you're looking for either e4 or b3 at some point
Yep.
to kind of break that up. So e4 looks good. And rook b1. Here, I think you have some really interesting options. Um, yeah, what was your thought process here? Which moves did you consider?
So here, I had spent so much time on the previous move on e4,
Mhm.
which in hindsight, it's like it seems so obvious, but I wanted to just kind of like make up time. That's literally it. I was just like, okay, I need to hang on to that b pawn in case I ever want to move my queen, and then I just moved the rook. That was it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think so. This is an interesting moment to me because I feel like you've got a few choices, several very different choices that are promising, but that take the game in different directions. One is just e5. Um, so
Yeah.
we're grabbing space in the center. We're hoping maybe to play against the dark square. So black has put pretty much every single pawn on a light square, right? Which means their dark squares are going to be weak. So by putting my pawn on dark squares, I'm hoping to like maybe one day put a knight on f6 or something like that.
Yeah, and I think I ended up pushing that pawn later when
Mhm.
it was a little bit more clear because the bishop came out to d6, but yeah, even here probably makes more sense.
There's there's also some logic to it because black does have the bishop pair. So to close the center, that's going to create a position that's more favorable for knights where the bishop pair is not very strong. And it also I may even also have a direct threat of knight g5. Not sure about that, but it does seem like white has uh you know a lot of firepower sort of directed over here at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting option. Another thing I'm thinking about though is like black's king is in the center. So it's is there some way I can trade and then like exploit the e file? Now, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that right away because once I trade, bishop f5 is going to be coming out.
Yeah, that was more what I was worried about, especially with the like g6 being able to support it now, because
Mhm.
then I can't just take it uh, like I could a couple moves before.
But I was trying to make that idea work. Another really interesting move, it's not a typical London move whatsoever, is but even castle queenside. And if
Oh.
if black plays bishop g7, maybe now I'm going to trade and give this really annoying check.
Mm, yeah, that looks good.
And I don't entirely know how black deals with this because if bishop e6, I'll just play knight e5, knight g5 now, attacking this twice, and it's like it's not so obvious how black is supposed to deal with all of this. Or even actually tactics. Maybe I can even be more aggressive and do take pawn,
Ooh,
pin, just
yeah, that's really nice.
trying to take advantage of the black king still being in the center and having all these pieces lined up. So this looks pretty intriguing too. It's like it's not very often you castle queenside in the London, but
Yeah.
maybe here, just based on the fact that you've developed your queenside pieces first, so that's open, and black has, played a fair number of pawn moves and kind of left their king in the center. So like that clock is sort of ticking on the king in the center. So that could be an option too. Or I mean, just bishop e2 and play it very conventional. It's also possible.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to know what, like, what's quite right here because, like, they do have the bishop pair, so like that's kind of what I was thinking later of like kind of closing down the center,
Hmm.
locking up the pawns. But at the same time, like yeah, like you said, the king's in the middle, and you're right. I maybe should have at least considered ways to get a rook onto that e file soon.
Yeah, and I found in my experience, um, having a clear and decisive take on the position usually works out well. Um, Even if it's maybe not objectively like completely the best one, but just being
True.
able to play with like a clear plan and clear vision,
I
I
think I've
find
had issues with that
yeah.
recently.
So it's almost like, sometimes it just sort of take your best guess, develop some sort of take on the position and just pursue it. And often it work, if you can just pursue one plan with some conviction, it seems to work out a lot of the time. So we did so okay, we're developing, we're castling e5. Your opponent gave you an extra tempo to play e5, so they really were inviting that.
Yep.
The bishop goes back. Knight h. I like this maneuver. The knight's coming out here, pawn's coming up. This looks like a good idea to me. And then pushing f4. So I think this all makes sense. King f2. One of the big themes I noticed in several of your games is king safety.
Yes, I would
Um,
agree.
you had in a lot of games in this tournament, your king ended up in like a weird advanced position in the middle game, which is not typically what actually here it is not bad because the position is so closed and you're also getting your rook over to the h file. Um,
Right.
so actually I think king f2 is absolutely the right move here, and your king is doing okay. In some of the other games from the later rounds, your king started walking up the boards in situations where it was actually a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, I can. I think I know what games you're talking about.
So I don't know. I guess we'll get to them, but actually for right now, king f2 is a very good move. Rook h1 and g4. So yeah, we're almost in. This is like a French structure now, actually, that we've gotten into,
Yeah,
which
it
you
kind of
play the
is.
French with black, right?
I do, yep. I didn't get a chance to play it at this tournament.
Okay, castles and then a3. So here, a move later, you go b3, right? Which is
Yeah.
yes, which is 100% the right plan. So now we've got kings opposite sides. So you want to open up the queen side where black's king is. So b3, which you did, has to be the plan. Maybe you could have even done it here. So this knight on g4, I kind of like because it's sort of restricting black from playing, maybe something like f6.
Oh, yeah. I guess my thought process was like it's not protected by anything, but
Mhm.
like looking at it concretely, it's like, well, what's gonna attack it? Like it can
Yeah,
just sit there for a while I open up files on the other side.
yeah, I agree. It looks a little bit loose, but I agree. I don't think black has any way to attack it. Um, and even at a knight e3, I mean, you definitely don't want to take this, I think, because then g takes, and that's opening up another line towards your
Oh,
king.
yeah.
So I don't think you really want to take that anyway. Um,
Yeah, I think I must have
yeah.
just been so worried about that knight causing issues on f5.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, it looks kind of impressive because it's on this square where it's supported, but I don't know if it's actually doing, like, it doesn't really have any jumps from here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's actually doing all that much.
Yeah, at least for now. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. Hindsight, I probably would have taken the knight just because I was so like concerned about it. But you're right, it is opening up the G file, so that probably would not have been good.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so I definitely like with b3 here, you hit upon the right plan.
Yeah.
Takes, queen takes, pawn takes also interesting, but I think queen takes is, you're on here, and your next move, or soon probably c4, and try to get at this king.
Yep.
g3. You can even maybe think about just playing c4 immediately.
I think I considered that actually, because like there's threats of bringing the rook to c1 if that file ends up opening, which I think is a much bigger issue than losing the f pawn.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am a little scared about losing the f pawn because then my king is going to be open. But like, if I can win black's queen or checkmate them,
Yeah, I guess it would just be a matter of like counting, calculating if I've got the time.
right? So did you calculate this during the game?
I don't know if I did. I don't think I think I considered it a bit, and then I was like, let's just hang on to pawns because yeah, my king does feel a little bit unsafe here. Even if I, because like eventually the plan was to go rook h c1, like pretty much
Yeah,
regardless, and so then that opened like then black has control of the h file and my king is stuck there. So
yeah. I think I like g3. I'm not sure if c4 works. It's like c4, knight takes f4, and then you have to calculate because like you're not just winning that queen directly on the c file because bishop c6 is coming. Black can
mm-hmm.
trade a pair of rooks. I don't know. It is pretty confusing, and if you can just shut down your opponent's attack and then sort of crush them at your leisure, sometimes that's a little bit nicer than calculating that you're winning in some complicated race. So this makes a lot of sense. Rook c1, king d6. Yeah, here, like in this position, I thought you're just absolutely crushing, and then suddenly though, king d7, like the king, if the king can run over here,
Right.
it's actually not that simple at all.
Yeah, and at this point I was like, well, I gotta go fast now because the
Mhm.
king's gonna get away from all my threats, and my
Knight.
pieces are on this side.
Well, you could either go fast or you could kind of keep the position close because like you're not committed yet. Once you play c4 and this bishop gets opened into the game, it's now it's very double edged. Knight takes, bishop d5. What about, there's a big choice here, right, of how you would take this one
Yeah,
between the bishop or the knight.
yeah. The knight ended up working out, but I did take a peek at the engine, and I think it liked the bishop taking here
Mhm.
better. I didn't really look why, but
So in the game, how did you make that decision?
um, I guess I just wanted to be able to bring the knight in and check, and
Hmm.
I like obviously now it's like, well, they could just avoid the check by going to e8 after I take with the knight, and then it's not really doing much. Um, maybe also like knight. Oh, that doesn't really do it either. Yeah, it's been a whole like 5 days now, so my memory. But the other thing I was gonna say is maybe bringing the knight up to d6, but I guess the bishop just takes, so that probably doesn't work.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is if knight takes. So your opponent played bishop d5, after which I think you had a nice combination. But if black plays king e8, um, I'm not sure what to do. And as white, I feel like I need a really good move, right? Like on this move,
Yeah,
because this king is if this king runs over here, then I don't have any attack at all. Meanwhile, since the position has opened up, the bishops are going to get stronger, and I've advanced all my pawns, right? Which is in a closed position, I can advance all those guys and control a lot of space, and that's great. if the position becomes more open, then that's going to leave behind a ton of pawn weaknesses that are um, well, they're weak. They're probably going to be a gigantic problem for me. So it's like, unless I actually have a good move right now, it looks to me like this position is getting really, really dangerous. And I'm not
Yeah,
sure if I do see the move for white.
I was gonna say I do not see a move that is that yeah that good move that you need.
Because knight d6 checked, I think black is just going to take this. I don't see a follow up. Maybe
No.
knight b6, I guess. Maybe. So I'm creating a pin. I'm thinking about d5 possibly. Um,
I think that's what I was thinking in the game,
yeah.
but I didn't really consider that, you know, that the king would just run away. So I was imagining that this move would be the check.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit more forcing, but
Yeah, this is actually, I mean, d5 is a nice move because then you're fighting for those light squares. So this is like, it's double edged. Um, White's position is very loose. Black has the bishops, but this pin is annoying, d5. So I'm not sure, like, let's say king f8, d5, and maybe we get this bishop. So maybe it's actually still good for white. Very tense position for sure. I don't know if black can play um, even a move like queen d8 to get out of the pin. I don't know.
yeah, it's definitely
Maybe so.
harder to
Yeah.
play than it was just a
Mhm,
few moves ago because yeah, you're right. It's opened up and now the bishop pair is like a lot stronger.
mhm. But I think bishop takes c4 is also a very serious consideration because you're fighting for the light squares a lot more. Not like knight take this knight, which was controlling d5. If you move it to a light square, it no longer controls light squares. So that means black has this relatively strong blockade here. In
Yeah,
contrast, bishop takes c4. Now the knight and bishop are both fighting for d5, which I think is a move I really want.
I
Um,
see.
Additionally, if black tries to run with king e8, here I have a very interesting possibility. Do you know? Can you guess what move I'm thinking of here?
Interesting one. Something with like taking on e6.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking to sack this bishop. That's two pawns. Black's king is caught in the center. I'm looking at this pawn as well. I'm looking at d5.
Yeah,
This looks extremely, extremely promising.
yeah, and the knights are a lot quicker to get in if that dark square bishop can't cover those like the g5 square and stuff. So
Yeah, so I think this looks great. So maybe an added reason for bishop c4 is you're actually fighting against this king e8 runaway plan by preparing this sack.
mm, yeah, I
Um,
do like that a lot better.
so I do think so. And what was the time control of this event?
45 with 5 second delay.
Okay, so it was pretty fast. So not a
Yes.
ton of time to think. But I would so my number one big theme was king safety, and then my number two theme, which I think you also picked out, is calculation, because
Yep.
I kind of get the impression that in a lot of positions, it's maybe not so much that like you're miscalculating or calculating incorrectly, but actually you're not calculating at all. Like in very concrete positions where there are four sequences of moves, I
Mm,
have the feeling maybe you're not sort of grinding through those moves. You're kind of making decisions based on general principles.
that is probably true. Yes. I and calculation has been something I've been working on a bit, but it doesn't help that when I play on stream, I am grinding like bullet where you don't have to calculate.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty much my preparation for this tournament was playing fast
Yeah.
games. So
Well,
yeah,
well,
I would
definitely
agree.
bullet. You're not going to be able to calculate at all. But actually, even in Rapid. So you've played what have you played the most? Like 10 plus 0 or 15 10, like what Rapid time control do you do?
Yeah, I play 10-0.
Right. So even 10-0, I mean it's not bullet, but
It's
it's still extremely fast. I mean it's
yeah,
it's like bordering right up against blitz. So I think this is actually the biggest thing for you if your goal is to like take that next step and over the board chess. I do think calculation is going to be the single biggest thing for you because in this tournament, whether it's 45-5 or potentially, maybe I don't know what other tournaments you're planning, a lot of over the board tournaments are even much slower than that.
yeah,
You're going to have all this time available to you to calculate, and you're going to have to learn how to use that effectively because your opponents also have it, so they can use it, right?
right.
And I think because of, your background in chess, playing primarily rapid as well as blitz and bullet, you haven't really had a lot of opportunity to practice that or like a need to do that. So I think it's you you're really good at being disciplined and building a kind of study plan for yourself, and you're very good at playing, I would say playing reasonably. Like you're not going to beat yourself. You're going to get all your pieces out. You're going to play sensibly and reasonably, and that can get you really far in chess. I think where you've gotten to now with over the board chess is you're playing against opponents that are also not going to beat themselves, but maybe they're taking advantage a little bit of that additional time to calculate more precisely. So
Yeah,
like in those moments where the game it gets into that like nitty gritty of it's not just general principles, it is move by move. That's when that's going to come in, and it's like that is the very moment when the cost of a mistake is so high and like the price of the best move is so incredibly valuable because it's like the whole game is right there. One move wins, one move loses.
right.
That's the moment, right?
And I think that is how I've been losing a lot of games is yeah, either lack of calculation or like not calculating uh, deep enough or like precisely enough, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like missing like a major move that my opponent had like 3 moves down the line. So yeah, I
Mhm.
I agree with your evaluation.
Yeah. So I think that's something to prioritize in your study plan. And I mean the way to work on that is pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's pretty simple. You just get a book with some difficult calculation exercises and you kind of just grind through those.
Yeah,
Um
I've got
I mean
books
you can
sitting
all
here. I should start using them.
yeah. You can also do chess.com puzzles, but I would say, if you're working on OTB, I'd say a book is going to be a better option because you can get, you can know you're getting really high quality examples. A good
Yeah,
book is going to have solutions that are well annotated. You can even set those up on a physical board to get that, to make your training as relevant as possible.
yeah, I do like to do that because especially learning how to play online and like that is primarily where I play. Like, I think a lot of times my calculation stuff suffers over the board, and it's gotten better now.
Mhm.
But especially when I first started playing, and like even in the last year, I think it was a very big difference in my skills when I was playing with actual pieces instead of a computer screen. So
Yeah. I think that's a huge, I mean, the difference between like a 2D diagram and um a physical 3D set, I mean, you're seeing something very different. So your brain has to sort of transform and flip all that around. I think that can take a lot of energy.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I would say do a book or let me throw in a little plug here, although we're not nearly at the end of one thing we do with Chess Gym is we do have a position of the day that does often tend to be like a more complex kind of calculation task.
Oh, awesome.
So, you can even do honestly even one per day. I think it's all about the habit and doing so I think where a lot of people get stuck is they're like, "Oh, I have to work on calculation for 4 hours. That's gonna be incredibly difficult." Not really. You can start with do 10, 15 minutes. Like if you actually do it every day, that's gonna build up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely planning to check it out. I know, you just ended up sending me the link. I'm gonna put it in the chat for everybody real quick. I think it's this one. Yes, but I'll let you explain a little bit more about what that is at the
Yeah.
very end, so people should
Okay,
stick
great.
around.
Okay, so knight takes c4, and now, yeah, if king e8, I think the game would have been very much on. After knight b6, I still kind of like your chances, but it's not easy to understand.
Yeah.
Now here you got to come in with a check, and yeah, I think that's pretty much game over, isn't it?
Yeah, they're either losing a
Yeah,
piece here or they are losing a piece.
yeah. So if I guess, yeah, the best black can do is lose a piece because queen takes, king e8, probably black's best choice, relatively
Whoa.
speaking, but you just took, so you came out ahead a bishop here. So you're up a bishop with a crushing in. You could also do,
Phil Chess,
me.
thank you for the raid. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. You could also take this one because this queen is still attacked.
Yeah, that was
Um,
the other one I was looking at. I figured it was better to get a. Oh my gosh! Thank you for the raid, Matt Black Knight. Also, 2 right in a row. I figured I wanted to get my rook up to the
yeah,
7th rank, and yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can take your pick here. They're both winning because you're going to be up at least a piece. But here you get a rook on the 7th, which is good. You trade off queens, which when you're up a piece, there's certainly no problem with trading some pieces.
Yep.
And knight c8, and I think your opponent decided to resign here, which is
Yeah.
fair enough. You're up a piece and you're dominating. So I think here your opening prep got a little mixed up because you had a plan, but then you changed it at the board. So I would say, just kind of have it, at home when you're doing the, now that you can reflect on this, just kind of have a think about which move order you want to use for the London.
Yeah, and also I will say one of my goals for this year is to learn a new opening for white and for black that I can play at the confidence of being able to play it over the board. So I'm kind of looking at that. I I I don't know quite what it's gonna be yet for white, but
Do you think
um,
are you gonna do like a different d4 opening, or are you gonna go like totally over to like one e4 or something?
um, I think it ultimately probably will be good for me to do one e4, but at
Mhm.
this point I'm considering more stuff like the queen's gambit as white. So yeah, just sticking with d4 probably for now.
Yeah, you could draw. I mean, it would be it's a good thing to do to get a sense of different pawn structures, different types of games.
Yeah.
It is going to be the closer you keep it to what you already know, it's going to be a bit less work. Like learning e4 is awesome, but then that's going to be a pretty big project because you got starting from a different first move. I mean, there's quite a lot of, you got e5, you got the Sicilian, French, Caro-Kann. I mean, there's a lot of bases to cover there.
Yeah, my coach for the chess punks tournament, Miros Ratsma, was trying to get me to play e4 and play the Scotch Gambit.
Okay, yep. That
I
would
think I
be
ended up
to
playing
go
it.
to go from the London to the Scotch Gambit would be a pretty big jump.
Yeah, well, that's what I told him. I was like, I appreciate this and I see what you're doing here, but it is very scary. And he's like, yeah, I totally get it. But yeah, just I think he was also just more encouraging me to like try different things in Blitz
Mm.
too to just get more experience in different pawn structures. So that might be a place to monkey around with different things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to get an opening to the point where you feel confident playing it over the board is usually, takes a fair bit of work and it's pretty hard for most people.
Yeah.
But to get something to the point where you can just try it out in Blitz can be surprisingly fast. So,
Yeah.
I think you can take even like an hour or two and get something to a point where you can try it in Blitz, and then you can kind of decide if you want to proceed with it further. When I do that, it's weird. Sometimes I'll like play something that I've spent like less than an hour preparing, and suddenly I'm having like better results than with my openings that I've like played my whole life. And I'm like,
Yeah. Isn't that
what the
weird?
hell are all my openings just stupid? Like, what is going on?
Like, am I just wasting time here? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. That's
I mean, I do
crazy.
think there does seem to be some truth to that. Like I just look at some of my stats by opening, and I feel like there's some openings I know really well and I'm confident with. There's some I don't know. But when I actually look at the performance rating by opening, it's all within like a pretty narrow like 50-point band basically. So I think maybe the differences in how we feel, it's like it's more psychological than it is in the reality of how well like you actually score at the opening more often than not.
Yeah, as long as you don't fall into traps, I feel like if you just know like how to play chess, you should be fine as long as you're playing like the logical moves at the opening. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
the confidence thing is huge, especially for me over the board, which is why I'm scared to try e4.
yeah. So I would say, yeah, maybe try it out in Blitz and then you can kind of like make an evaluation if you want to take it farther.
Yeah.
All right, should we try to get through? Well, I think you highlighted this actually as a game where game two, right? Where you felt like you weren't sure what was the moment that caused you to lose this one. So this could be an interesting one.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this because it was suddenly just lost, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah, so he goes for the collie system. This is
So many
like,
people here play this. I don't
oh
know
really?
what the deal is. Yeah,
At your club?
well, just in North Dakota in general. I actually
Okay.
traveled to Fargo, so about 3 hours for this one. So, but
Mhm.
every time I go to Fargo, I swear to God, I face the collie.
Okay. Well, I guess you better have some preparation then, yeah?
uh, Probably not as much as I should. I
Uh-huh.
have a bit. I just kind of play it, well, the way I played it. But I think at a certain point I was supposed to bring my bishop out to f5,
Okay.
but I don't know if that's what I'm always supposed to do. So I need to check my opening file. I've got it there
Mhm.
somewhere. I just need to remember.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I don't I don't really have any what's trying to think like what is my preparation against the collie? I think uh one thing I was using for a while was this Sam Shankland um semi-Slav course, and his recommendation was c6, and probably you play bishop g4 and like e6 and kind of play in Slav style. Um, I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's a million things you can do against the collie. What do you play against like the Queen's Gambit?
I played Queen's Gambit Declined, so I
Okay,
usually try and go for similar
yeah,
setups, whether it's like semi-Slav or same vibes.
right. So you might be more comfortable playing with this bishop inside the pawn chain and play like e6, c5, which I think is basically what you did in the game. Either way,
Yeah,
if you're going somewhere where if I was going somewhere where I know everyone's going to play the collie for me against me, I would try to have like an amazing plan against the collie that I felt super confident in.
I should do that. Yeah, I should get some traps in my repertoire or something. Although I don't know if this guy would have fallen for any. This is the opponent that gained like 200 rating points in this tournament. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, he was super underrated.
What's this guy's study plan?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
All right. So we play c5. Yeah. I mean, this all looks pretty reasonable. Yeah. So this is an interesting decision. Um, to open it. So you played this because you think the bishop is going to go to b2, which of course it is, and then it's going to be blocked here. Um, so there's some logic to that. Uh, the downside of this is this e file, right, is open, which is going to increase control of e5
Yes.
for white. So I don't know. To be honest, I'm like, I don't have, this is not a position that I would have played a lot. I don't have a lot of intuition about this structure. The big issue that we have to solve for black right here is this bishop on c8, kind of like a French bishop, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of locked in. So I would think maybe we should be thinking about playing b6 and bishop b7 ourselves to try to do something useful with this bishop.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So that would maybe be a thought.
I don't like the fact that I'm already like in this position though, that
Uh-huh.
the fact that I already have a problem with my position, which is that my pieces feel very like cramped, especially that light squared bishop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not such a problem in that, like, objectively, I think black has to be absolutely fine here. But you do definitely want a solid plan for, whenever I'm preparing the opening, like, I aim for 2 things as a minimum. 1, where do my pieces go? 2, what is at least one idea of what to do next? Because I feel, that at least I'm gonna get into the end of the opening, early middle game with some level of comfort and confidence and, like, a sense of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Whereas if I don't know where my pieces go, now I'm probably gonna be very uncomfortable in the opening and start to burn a lot of time and perhaps make a lot of mistakes. Um, so I don't know. One technique I haven't done this on chess.com before, but, like, a way that I like to utilize the engine to try to so obviously, if we turn on the engine, we can find out what the best moves are, but that's not necessarily very helpful because, I can memorize one line, but my opponent won't play that line, so that doesn't even really help that much.
Yeah.
But what I one technique is to, play against the engine from the opposite side. So
Mm.
that's why I flipped the board. So let me see if I turn this on, does space bar work? No. Okay.
Are you trying to get it to like play a move?
Yeah, so I'm used to the shortcut on a lot of things is spacebar to play the top engine move. Is there one on chess.com?
I don't think there is. I know down in like bottom right, you can like the target symbol. You could say play against the engine, but
Okay.
then it's
Let's actually,
like
what, we can do this as a team though. So I'm going to turn off the engine.
okay,
I'm going to I can run this on another board off stream. And here's what I'm going to do. I'll have you play for what or wait. Okay, it's black to move. So I'm going to play the engine moves and you can play for white, okay?
okay.
So the engine did actually decide to go for this trade, which you went for.
All right, take back with the pawn.
Mhm. Okay, and then I'll just give it a moment to think. And it's actually going for b6 here.
Mm,
So you're playing, and when you do this exercise, don't think too hard. The reason to do this is what I want to get out of this is I want to see for black. Remember, we're actually preparing for this for black, even though we're playing for white. What I want to understand is if my opponent as white plays like natural human moves, how am I going to crush them? So
right.
as playing for white, I'm not thinking too hard. I'm just like, what's like a normal move that I would do?
So like rook e1, maybe.
Sure. Okay, and the computer is going bishop a6. So like already, right, we're starting to get some
Mm.
interesting stuff, right? Because the computer really prioritized that light squared bishop and it created this maneuver to trade it off and solve that problem.
So if we take on a6,
Okay, so it's gonna recapture, of course.
and like queen e2.
We need knight b4.
Oh. Um, knight f1, maybe.
Yeah, okay, so you're defending your pawn.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was gonna play rook c8. The computer actually likes knight c6 going back.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting
Hmm.
for the rook on the c file too.
I wonder what. And if we play c8, that's interesting. It also, oops, it also likes rook c8, and then white can play c4. But okay, well, anyways, we can maybe stop the drill here. But one thing you can do is if you do this, you can also give yourself takebacks and sort of run it back. So you can say like, okay, what if I played, okay, fine. For example, okay, now I know black's plan is to play bishop a6. What if I played queen e2 to try to stop that, right?
Yeah.
And in that case, it is actually going to play a5, defending this with the rook, right?
Oh,
And
so
then,
it's really going for that,
yeah,
getting rid of the bishop.
and then you go, right? And you can keep doing this. Maybe you say, okay, instead of rook e1, bishop e2, et cetera, et cetera. You can give yourself as many takebacks and redos as you want. But as you do that, you're going to build up the knowledge of like how the computer is reacting to all of this. And that's going to be like a very useful type of opening knowledge. Because just imagine if you get this position and you know b, so you don't just know the b6 move, but okay, this is my worst piece. My plan is b6, bishop a6 to trade that off. If white tries to stop that with queen e2, I'll play a5 and do it anyway. This is the kind of knowledge that's super useful. That's going to like allow you to feel very comfortable and confident in a position.
Yeah, that makes more sense already because it's immediately getting rid of like the problem I was having with it before, which was that my light squared bishop was just like a problem child. So yeah, I like that method of figuring out openings and plans and
Yeah.
stuff.
My Eugene Perelstein, who's a grandmaster, is my co-author on a book that I did, taught me that, which he's like super good at opening prep. Like he works with like even doing prep for even stronger grandmasters, and I saw him using that technique all the time. So I think it's a good one. And even though he uses it as a grandmaster, you can actually, I think anyone can use it effectively. Because you can just try as many things as you want.
Yeah, if you take the time to see like a few moves down the line, not just memorizing like, okay, in this case I do this, in this case I do that.
Yeah, it's had you always have to bring it back to like an understanding of the position.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you whenever you do that or whenever you do any opening work, like always document it. Like if you do that, definitely you need to have a file where you write down the conclusions, or you'll just like forget and it's wasted.
Yes.
But okay, so yeah, I feel like so now we still haven't solved the problem of this bishop. Now that the knight has come out, the bishop a6 plan is not going to work, and white's control of e5 pretty annoying because we can't. This knight is very strong here, but we also cannot take it because either we would get forked, or even if we do it this way, our knight is trapped, so we can't do it.
Right.
So b6, knight f8. I don't know if your knight's really going to be good on g6 here, but also I don't know what else to suggest. I mean, I guess we can just play bishop b7.
Yeah, they just really like the e5 square is just such a huge
Mhm.
problem for me. And I think that was kind of the whole struggle of the game was like how to get a piece out of there, and it just never really happened. Or it did for a while and then
Mhm.
got back in.
Yeah, the problem. So here, I mean, you're still kind of solid, but white has a pretty straightforward plan with like rook e3, h3, knight f3, and like, eventually checkmate you over here. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to do something about that. I mean, I would love to be able to play knight e4. At the moment, that would cost me a pawn.
Yeah, and I think maybe the other idea I had of like knight f8 was to maybe play f5 somehow,
Hmm.
which I guess in hindsight, like I did eventually get an f5, but it was bad because it just left that hole on e5.
Yes.
But I don't even know if that was really good. I think this whole plan was just like misguided because I didn't know what else to do. I think that was the
Yeah.
problem.
So I think at this point I am. Your opponent just played queen e2, just sort of slow played it. I mean, even the stuff like knight takes f7
Yeah.
is starting to look extremely concerning. I don't know if this works. Check. Maybe it doesn't work because queen h5 g6 I think is okay. Or not. Can we do this first? Queen h5.
Oh.
But actually, no. This stops. Actually, that's a
Oh,
really good
rook.
defensive move. That complete every single idea I had that completely shut down. Defends this, this, attacks this.
Yeah, that's a good maneuver to know because I feel like I get in these similar positions a lot where it's like, or I shouldn't say a lot, but I've gotten them before where white will sacrifice a piece to open up my king with like the f file kind of
Mhm.
open for the rook to come in, and it's annoying to play. And often I
Yeah.
don't get this, you know, defensive move because my pieces are all squished together.
Yeah, and it's exactly that sort of squishitude that is making me quite worried here.
Yeah.
Because so maybe that sacrifice was a little bit too much, but even just a relatively simple move like knight g5 also looks quite scary to me. Because white is just straight up threatening to take on f7, and if I really don't want to take on e5 because then this pawn and then the f file is happening, and
Yeah. What if f6 in that position where the knight came down? Do they then just bring the queen in to h5?
yeah, that looks like one.
I feel like there's a similar trap like this in the London.
This
Oh, the
rook being
rook.
attacked is quite annoying.
Yeah, that rook. Dang it.
Um,
And
now
there's so
and
many
also
pieces on the
g6 is attacked.
h7.
So maybe this, but then I would certainly be worried that can white just crash through? This looks incredibly scary. White's only sacrificed one piece so far, and like
Yeah, that is brutal.
a lot of nasty stuff looks like it's happening here. So I think your opponent could have gone for the jugular with just knight g5 directly here, because these pieces have gotten kind of, it's like all this stuff is back here kind of blocking each other.
Yeah, and I don't know why I keep going for this plan. I've done it. I do it a lot in online games too, and I guess
Mhm.
in the faster games it's like usually just fine because I don't have time to calculate this far. But like, I don't know why I keep doing this. It rarely works out for me. I at the very least I'm just like defending for my life, and maybe I get out with a draw.
Um, yeah, it could be. I mean, it could just sort of be. I feel like usually we kind of go with what we're comfortable with. Um, I wonder if so. The move I really want to play as black to get out of this is knight e4, because that
Yeah.
blocks the bishop and the rook and opens up f6 to expel the knight. So that is the move I want. Now, here, white's attacking it twice and defended once. Um, Having said that, even as a pawn sacrifice, it's kind of interesting because if white takes, okay, yes, I gave up a pawn, but my bishop, which was total dead weight, is now transformed into actually the best piece on the board. I traded off, I was quite cramped and I traded off a pair of pieces. And so suddenly I feel like I have quite a lot to hope for here. And also, if you put the shoe on the other foot and you're in white's position, uh, here you're probably feeling pretty good. You're like, I played the collie, I surprised my opponent, I'm so smart. I'm gonna go knight g5 and like rook lift and queen over in this plan I've probably done a million times and like win the game. And then suddenly knight e4 happens, and you're like, wait, huh? Like they're offering a pawn, but if I take now like they're the ones who are attacking me, and like how do I even evaluate this?
Yeah. Then you can even probably push like f6 and maybe win the f pawn.
Yeah,
No, maybe not.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
actually, like, um, you could consider bishop b7 preparing this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking before. But
I'm even kind of, the more we look at it, knight e4 immediately um, is quite interesting as well. So I think probably white shouldn't even take. Maybe he should try something like this. But at least you're really mixing it up here. And now, I mean, you can think about bishop takes e5, maybe knight takes g5. I'm not sure. Um, like what if, so if takes, this seems much more acceptable though, because the king side's a lot more blocked now.
yeah, I would agree. There's just not so many pieces just up in my face and
Yeah.
being annoying.
Yeah. So maybe knight e4 would have been a key idea here to try to get out of this sort of bind that you're in. G3.
Yeah, instead of working backwards, I think that's kind of the like maybe theme to remember is like why am I moving pieces backwards? I should consider at least going forward.
Yeah, if you can. Um,
Yeah, if it's possible, if it makes sense.
you don't want to be in a scenario where you're just a punching bag, like you're forced into like completely passive play and your opponent kind of has their choice of what to do. You want to always give them something to worry about if you can.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what happened in this game was just I was always defend like I never really had the initiative. I was always just defending against their threats,
Mhm.
and I like never had a fighting chance at all.
Having said that, this position actually, it kind of looked like white could have possibly gone in with knight g5 and just gone for the direct attack. But now that you actually got f6 in, um, I don't know if this is so like you still have a bit less space, but your position is like pretty solid here. So if you just do something like, rook a c8, I'm not entirely sure what white does. I mean, maybe they play c4 and try to expand that way. But, like maybe bishop c6 or something. It's like your position is still pretty solid. So I think you're allowing white to create this pawn weakness that they were then able to attack.
Yeah, this I think this was a moment like you were saying earlier that I didn't really calculate far enough
Mhm.
because my thought process was like, oh, that bishop is so nice. It's just like slicing right through my position and like hitting the f or the h7 square. So like no way they're just gonna give it up for my knight, and then they did, and I was like, oh, this is actually not great for me.
Mhm. I mean, I totally agree that white's bishop is a very good piece. So it seems like they wouldn't want to take it. Although the thing is, like, even if they don't do that, I don't think this knight is doing much here. Like, a sort of anti-pattern is knight here versus pawn here. Because a
Oh
pawn,
yeah,
you don't want a piece of lesser value to dominate your piece. And here, this little pawn is dominating the knight. So it's like the same thing with like b6 versus b3 or g6 versus g3.
mm-hmm.
You don't really want your knight set up like that. And actually, this knight here defending e6 is kind of doing a good job. So actually, if I were white, I don't even know if I would take this knight. But this did present you a concrete problem to solve of how to defend g6. And then after knight h4, now a check is coming in. I do like white giving up the light squared bishop and you still having yours is like giving me a little bit of hope for black's position. Like I can maybe, what if we counterattack this?
Oh, that might have been better.
So
I think I
probably,
actually considered that in the game, but I think I said no because why did I say no?
well, I guess they're going to defend it because if white did this, now I'm absolutely delighted because I got my pawn back and my queen is invaded, so I guess they should defend with a move like, I don't know.
Yeah, that maybe that's what I was thinking. Yeah, and then what's my plan here? Or is it just already kind of bad for me?
I'm not sure. Like maybe what I what I want to do is sacrifice this pawn somehow because I don't really like if I play king f7, knight h4, then the pawn's going to get taken with check, which is worse. Or I have to play f5, which is going to weaken these squares. So I'm trying to figure out like, is there some way for me to give this pawn away? Um, where I can sort of get something for it. So for instance, like rook e7, bishop e8.
Hmm.
And then if queen goes back, my bishop pops out. I can kind of argue that I have like this light squared bishop is a good piece. So maybe, I can argue this is okay for me. It's a little bit of a stretch, but maybe. Um, but I can also, is there any way we can get away with e5 here? Like, probably not, because just takes, but takes, check. Actually, this is pretty interesting too. So this is attacked. For example, bishop f5, not that
I,
clear.
you at least have some initiative now instead of just like running away,
Yeah.
which I
And
like.
this is so with the knight e4 move before and this e5 move here, I'm kind of trying to do the same thing, which is like to change the trend of the game.
Yeah.
Just like when you're just getting crushed and just your opponent, you're just in that sort of punching bag scenario, it's too easy for your opponent to play because they can just, sort of go through the motions that are planned. So like what I'm trying to, if we turn on the engine, maybe it's going to say that this is all nonsense. I don't know. What I'm trying to do is change the trend of the game to at least take my opponent out of their comfort zone so it's not so easy for them to find the moves they need to play to beat me. That's something you want to do when you're defending.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So in the game we had, oops, not rook c8, but rather king f7, knight h4. Now you have to play f5 because you probably can't allow that, check, the queen comes in. So you got to play f5. But then this is not the move we wanted to make because these squares now.
Yeah, and I think even here I didn't realize that like oh the knight just comes back to f3 and then like there's just no stopping the knight from coming to one of those two squares. And it's just a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And that now this knight, once it comes back here, look, with these two squares to look at, this is going to be tough. And this light sword, putting all the pawns on the light sword is not making this guy any better.
Yeah. At this point I wish I'd gone for that like bishop a6 plan about
Mhm.
20 moves earlier, but
Yeah. It's funny how it's like it seems very innocuous in the opening, but then it can change the whole course of the game to just like no, like one plan or one
yeah.
maneuver. Okay, yeah, here's what I was talking about, the like the king, but this is the king position you don't want. Although
Yeah.
perhaps you had, maybe you didn't have much of a choice because you would like to go back here, but then, well, that's a fork. You can't really do
Yeah.
that.
So maybe bishop e7 was not the right move. Like I should have just allowed knight g5 and then maybe even given up the e pawn just to get rid of that knight and my bishop.
What's the best option here? So knight g5 does appear to be white's next move. I mean, I guess we can. So then that's also going to potentially win this. So, if we defend this, unfortunately, I don't know if there, it seems like white just has a very simple plan of piling up on the e file.
Yeah, and that pawn is just super weak. And my king is stuck. And my rook is stuck in the corner.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like what is the plan of action here to have some chance of getting out of this?
I don't know if it was this point, but I there was multiple times in this game where I was considering sacking my dark scored bishop on f4. I don't think it really
Yeah.
does anything, but just
Yeah, that's I was thinking about that too. The problem is this knight is defending here.
yeah,
So we're not actually even threatening anything. So,
yeah, it seems a little too
it's
slow,
the
but
sort of thing I would consider. Um, but it doesn't I don't think it really works here. I mean, maybe can I just give up my rook for this knight?
I considered this honestly.
Yeah.
I was that knight was so annoying, and I could just tell it was doing damage. But then I don't really have
Maybe
a good follow up here, I guess.
yeah, maybe this is like relatively the best chance because, being down in exchange, you can fight back somewhat. Uh your position is quite solid now. Having said that, objectively, I guess it should be losing because white is up a clean exchange. They're going to play c4 and open some files for their rooks. Maybe you can play rook h8 and try to drum up some sort of attack over here. But yeah, I don't. I mean, this is pretty speculative. So yeah, I think at this point I'm not seeing great options for you. I think these squares with the knight jumping in are just too weak at this point.
So would my mistake in this game, or I guess there's probably more than one, but like other than not getting rid of the light squared bishop when I had the chance, I feel like this position is, or at least after the next move, is kind of where I realized I was lost. Like opening up those squares for the knight to come in.
Mhm.
Like, is there something I could have done to like, I don't know, foresee that? Because I just didn't see that that was even like a threat.
Yeah. I think it really came down to your opponent had a better handle on the plans in this, the opening and in a larger sense in the pawn structure because um basically all of white's moves are working together to make a plan that is making their position better and better and putting more and more pressure on you.
Mm-hmm.
Um so this idea with b6 bishop a6 that we looked at much earlier, that's not the only thing you could do. It's not the only plan in the position, but it's one good idea. Um, I think in the game, you didn't really have a sense of like what you were trying to do or like how your moves kind of fit together into a plan.
Yeah.
So it sort of snowballed. And then maybe there were some moments, like for instance, we looked at knight e4 here, where, with like maybe with like a very precise or energetic move at the right moment, you could have kind of got out of it and, if not turned the tide, at least kind of kept the balance in the position.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, that's what I would say overall is like it really came down to the plan and this structure. Your opponent had a good plan. to gradually build up the position, and you didn't quite have the same level of plan to counter that, which is, that is typical of a higher level of competition, in the sense that this game was not decided by a one move blunder where someone hangs a piece or a tactic, or it was not decided by, a sort of like ungoal or unforced error where someone just like, owns themselves for no reason. It was
Right.
actually built up with a coherent plan over the course of many moves, which is like, yeah, that's high level chess. Um, so I think you just need a little bit better of an idea of what you're trying to do in this structure,
Okay.
especially if all these guys keep playing the what the hell? Why are they all playing the collie?
I don't know. I shouldn't say there's I maybe exaggerated a little bit, but I have faced it multiple times when I go out there for these tournaments. That like it's so annoying. I and that I guess that's more the problem. It's like I just don't have a good plan against it. So that's probably something good going forward of just like what to do in these kind of positions because I kind of get similar ones too with the like if I play against the London or even in like Queen's Gambit Decline type things, if they can stick a knight on e5, like it, I feel like I don't really know how to go forward from that in a way that makes sense.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I think that knight e4 is like a pretty typical counter, or some pawn f6 if you can set it up to force the knight out. And then we had, let's see, was there any other interesting moves? Your king had to come out, which is not what you want.
not ideal.
Yeah, to me, probably d5 immediately.
Yeah, I mean everything is just
Yeah.
crushing here, but yeah, that
Yeah, I'm
makes
just trying to
sense.
get a sense of your opponent. I feel like he's, you know, likes to keep things very calm. He, not interested in like calculating or sacrificing, wants to keep like everything very, very, very under control.
Yes.
Uh, but okay, the way, yes, this was also very good.
Ugh,
Okay, and so it's yes, so you actually managed to get into an end game, but unfortunately it is a lot of pawns that you're down here in d6. Yeah. So I would say it's all about the plan. In that structure, your opponent sort of had the blueprint of, I'm going to do A, B, C, D to build up an attack, and was able to execute that plan. You weren't quite ready with the counter plan. So
yeah.
I guess probably I guess we only got through two games. It's probably that might be good for tonight. But I would say like calculation, king safety, and kind of deepening your opening knowledge, because you've certainly got a repertoire. You've got some moves that you've worked out that you remember. But then the next level from there is to, make it deeper, make it more interconnected, and to have an understanding of those middle game plans actually is really even the most important part.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I I really appreciate you coming on to do this, and I'm glad we got through this game specifically because yeah, this was the one where I was like, what did I do wrong? Like it just kind of built up. But yeah, that makes sense to I don't know have a plan in those kind of positions from the beginning and not just kind of be shuffling my pieces around trying to like vaguely kick their knight out and not yeah, as even as you're just going through like the game a little bit quickly here at the end, it's like so clear that all of white's moves are building up to like one cohesive plan, and mine are just not doing that. So yeah, very clear to see. So again, thank you very much, Nate, for coming on.
Oh no, it was super fun, and it's also like when you get the shoe on the other foot, those are the games that can be really fun, because it's like, when you know your plan and your opponent doesn't, and like you've got the experience of having maybe played that in some blitz games, so you kind of know how it all goes.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
like you're just sort of sitting back like, yep, I already see how this story goes. You're going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then checkmate. Yeah.
True. I just got to get to that point for me. Be a little bit
Yeah.
more attacking. Oh yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. I would be happy for you to plug and talk about the Chess Gym, your new online chess community. over
Yep,
in the chat.
absolutely. So yeah, so it's an online chess community. I'm doing it's me and my friend Martin Eustason, who also writes a chess newsletter. Kind of started it together. So the basic idea is to have a place to learn chess online that makes it, really simple and streamlined. So like so many people we talk to are really struggling with there being an overwhelming number of chess resources out there. So there's sort of too much to take in, and I think a lot of people are confused about like what is actually valuable, what am I supposed to do? So we wanted to say like, hey, just show up, be ready to do a little bit of work, and like we've got a plan for you. So we have a position of the day every day to solve like an exercise. So, again, that's great for calculation. And like I'm really a huge believer in building habits and doing a little bit every day. So that's why it's one per day. We've got like three different levels ranging from easier to harder. Um, we also do we set up like sparring games between partners at a slower time control. So like over the board chess is awesome when you can do it. For a lot of people, the schedule is a little tricky and it can be hard to find slower games online. So we match people up for 30 plus 20. So you can play a game, you can do like a post-mortem on Zoom. That can be really good. And then we also have we're calling it the workout of the week now. So we have like one other thing per week that's focusing on could be a specific opening, pawn structure, could be a concept like rook end games. We do like something a little bit different every week. So that's kind of the idea. Just like have something that makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, and kind of you don't have to choose between like 10,000 things to decide what to work on chess on any given day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that it's like it's made with like uh people with actual like real life schedules in mind. So it's very doable for the average person who's trying to improve but maybe doesn't have, 5, 6 hours a day to
Yeah.
dedicate to their chess. Just doing one simple thing a day to build habits is really a great idea.
No,
So
thank you. Yeah, that's the boat I'm in as well because like, I am a chess coach, so like that is my profession, but I have a 1-year old. I have like another baby coming soon. So as far as working on my own chess, it's very limited. I have to try to be really efficient. That's what I'm trying to do as well.
yeah, definitely. Life gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, that's awesome. Guys, you can check out the chess gym. I put it in the chat. And you can follow Nate on all his socials, or at least on Twitter, I guess, is kind of the main one.
Twitter and uh Substack.
Yes.
I'm thinking about trying to do YouTube this year. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
That's still
Yeah,
on like the drawing board.
that would be great. I would definitely watch your videos. I really like your style of coaching, which is why I invited you on. So again,
Oh, thanks so
thank you
much.
for coming on. Um, guys, this if you're just joining now or if you just got a little bit of the session, I will be cutting this down for a YouTube video, so that will be out. I think I was sponsored when I think not next week, but the week after. I think is when we'll be getting it out. So you can watch a little short and sweet version of it. And yeah, I think that's it. Do you want to plug anything else before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's great.
Awesome. Well, Nate, thank you so much again. I'm gonna turn off this so we can actually. Okay, don't leak anything. Go back to full screen. All right, thank you again, Nate, and I'll send you the link to the YouTube video when it's out there.
All right, amazing. Thank you.
All right, see ya.
Okay, have a good night.
Bye. All right, guys. That was super helpful. Yeah, like I said to Nate at the beginning, I think it's like so much of my chess journey has come without a coach. So I think he was surprised that I was like, "Hey, can you coach me?" But I've always said that like it's not I've been at a place where I can analyze my games myself and like figure out what I did wrong and make a plan from there. But I think at a certain point, it's like if I'm wasting too much time not actually understanding what went wrong. I think it just makes more sense to bring in a stronger player, which is why I was really excited that Nate agreed to do this. What time do we have? We do have time. So here's what I was thinking. Since we didn't get through all the games, I can show you at least one more of my games from this tournament, and then maybe we'll save other ones for another day. But we'll just analyze this last one myself, and then we'll find somebody to raid. Let me pull it up. Did you guys like the lesson? Good lesson? Yes, yes, yes. It was awesome. And yeah, guys, check out Nate's Substack as well. I think it's linked. Oh, maybe it's not linked in his Twitter anymore. Honestly, if you just Google Nate Solon, like all his stuff will come up. But he puts out like a weekly, I think it's weekly newsletter, which I really enjoy reading. So let's okay, which one's gonna be fastest? Maybe this one? So I know I was really focused on being a good student and wasn't really looking at chat, but as we look through this one, you guys can feel free to ask questions. This is a game that I won, and I think it is a good, like, instructive game. I know we looked at one that I won, so maybe we should look at one that I lost, but I think this will be the fastest one. So the reason I say this is instructive is, oops, oh wait, is it? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna turn the sounds off. Pardon me. Wait, where's the sounds? Play sounds. Okay. I'll toss some music on too. Just about like 10-15 more minutes of stream, guys, so feel free to stick around and just chill. Ooh, that's a little loud. Okay. So this was an interesting game because I was out of book really early, but the reason was that my opponent was pushing pawns. So immediately we have g5, which is a perfectly valid move, like it's defended by the queen, but it's usually not one that you see because it's generally pretty easily refuted if white is like just careful. And I think I've done a video where I showed a similar line that I faced at a bit of a lower rating band, where as a London player, like black will just like start storming with the pawns right away. But this game was super interesting. So we had another pawn move. I played c3, and now, okay, black shuts down the position. This is a pretty equal game. White has a bit of an edge. I brought my knight out, just developing pieces, going after that pawn potentially. It still obviously can't be taken because of the queen. And now here, I had a decision to make. Because the obvious move in my head is to go to e5. That's what we looked at in the previous game when Nate was still here. But from black's perspective, right? White would love to put a knight on e5 in d4 type structures. However, there is the threat that I had to calculate. So I was actually spending quite a bit of time at the beginning of this game. Because, like, after something like this, well, I guess I can't actually take the pawn even then. But, okay, what I was considering was, okay, defending the pawn. Sorry, let me just play the moves. After I jump here, if black defends this pawn, and then with a plan of pushing this pawn, the f pawn, then my knight is trapped. So I had to calculate, okay, can I bring the queen out and just trade off this knight, which is what I ultimately ended up doing. But they didn't play h5 first. They actually immediately kicked my knight away with f6. So here, again, I can't take this because of h5, and my knight is trapped. It doesn't have anywhere to go, which is, like, crazy. But the computer actually wants queen takes g4. Oh, I should turn off the eval, sorry. Or is it fine? Do you guys care? I'll just turn it off since I'm in here. So queen takes g4 was something I did not consider because it's just leaving my knight hanging. But it's crazy because after this, like, you go queen h5 check, and then it's just really hard for black to defend. Like, all their pieces are on the back rank, and we at least have, like, one other piece out. There's no way for black to block the check, so they have to move the king. King d7 is the best move. And then bishop takes e5, and the rook is just, like, it's pretty much over. Knight f6. Queen f7. Like, you have all this, but then, yeah. It just gets tricky. Wait, you take here? Bishop takes. Oh, because they can't take back, that's why. I forgot. So the bishop is actually pinned, so it's not actually protecting this piece anymore. So that's why. So I thought that was an interesting line. I did not see that in the game. Instead, I went after f6. I went for queen a4 check with the idea that whichever piece blocked, here, like one of these, I would just take with the knight, and then my knight would be out of dodge, and I was totally fine. Turns out that's not as good as sacrificing the knight, like we just looked at in that line with queen takes g4, but it was fine. White still has a slight edge here. So also keep track. My opponent has moved all pawns except for the one time where they were basically forced to move out a knight. That's not how you should play chess. You got to get your pieces involved. But it's still tricky because, okay, psychologically, me playing this game, I'm like, okay, my opponent is clearly not playing correctly. They're moving all their pawns, which I know you're not supposed to do. However, I can't just go crazy, and a lot of people have the tendency to do this, go crazy and, like, start some wild attack before you've gotten your king to safety and you've made sure all your pieces are actually safe. Because, like, this can work, moving all these pawns, if white's not careful. So you can't just because you realize that your opponent is doing something that goes against opening principles, that doesn't mean that you can just play crazy chess and expect it to work. You still have to play principled chess yourself. And then eventually you will see the opening where you can punish it. Okay, so I continue developing. b5, again, moving pawns. I move my queen back. And now they complete their pawn chain like this. My pieces are a little cramped here. Like, their lack of development almost doesn't matter. Because there's just, like, this huge wall of pawns that is going to be tricky to break down. For example, like pushing b3, like they can just leave this, and then when I take, they just refill, and it's just fine. Like, everything's fine here. So I tried to break open with f3, and then again with e4. The eval is still showing this as, like, pretty equal, like slightly in white's favor. But it's not as clear as you might think. His king isn't safe anywhere. That's true. So yeah, the whole idea here is to just, like, get the king that is still in the center, get a check on it. That would be nice. Or, because it's on the e-file, that's why I push these pawns. Breaking in the center, even potentially at the cost of a pawn, if you can get, like, a rook in here somehow. This plan wasn't perfect, but it worked out okay. Okay, and yeah, by the way, that is why I went for the bishop here, so that if Like, I was expecting this move. I don't know why. It just seemed consistent with how he was playing. And so bishop f4 just stops that. Okay, so I snap it off, and then he takes with a rook, which I think was a pretty big mistake. I think taking with the knight was probably better. Sorry guys, my voice is getting so hoarse already. Okay, so this was an interesting moment. h3. I don't know if this was his idea. I didn't get a chance to talk to him after the game, but I was anticipating the queen coming out to h4. And if that check happens, it's not so easy. Even though their pieces are a little bit misplaced and their pawns are a little too far forward, and in fact they are down a pawn right now. If my king is forced to move somehow, or if this move happens, suddenly my king side is no longer safe and I have to castle queen side, which is fine, but their pawns are just so far forward that it's just annoying, I think is the right word. You really just have to get rid of these pawns or like deal with this threat, because like this pawn is already at the 3rd rank. So even taking here and doubling, like you're isolating this pawn, you're isolating this pawn. It's like you still have these doubled pawns. It's not so clear here. So I just opted to play g3 and just like prevent this threat entirely. If they take here now, of course I can take with the bishop or the knight. I can't remember what I was planning, but in fact I don't really know if I had a plan for which one to take with if they took on f3. Probably the knight. Maybe the knight? I don't know. I honestly don't really think it matters. Okay, but they took back on f5. I took with the queen. Okay, still up a pawn, and now my queen is suddenly getting involved. Their rook, his rook, does cover the 6th rank, so like I can't do things like this. So, you know, it's okay. But this already is much better for white, because my queen is getting involved. My king is quite safe compared to his. And his pawns have just like left his king behind. So this is why you shouldn't push your pawns. You'll see in a little bit. Alright, knight attacking my queen. I decided this was a safe move, just taking yet another pawn. Okay, and the knight coming out here. This was not a threat. I decided to castle here. I think my thought was to connect the rooks first of all, but also just to bring a rook, either this one or this one, into the e-file. Because his king isn't going anywhere. I mean, he still has to move the queen and then castling, but like, what even is this castle? Like, what's happening here? Okay, so knight comes out attacking my queen, and I was pretty proud of myself for finding this move. Because originally I was thinking about this, which is still fine. It's still like, I think it's the 2nd best move. But there's just like no follow-up. Like just king f8, and then it's like, okay, well now what? So this immediately forces the situation. Attacking the rook. Only move to hang on to the rook is actually bringing the knight back to g8. Whoa, thank you, Lifong, for the raid. Thank you so much. Hey guys, we were just finishing up looking at one of my games from a recent tournament I played in. Hope you guys had a good stream. Boran, thank you for gifting a sub. What's up, guys? Welcome, welcome. We're nearly done with this game. We're talking about why it's bad to push all of your pawns at the start of the game. And I guess I'm just bragging about a game that I won. So that's where we're at right now. We recently had Nate Solon on the stream. Oh, I should probably change the stream title. It's fine. We'll be done in like 2 seconds. Okay, so this knight comes back, right? Defending, but now I get to trade off queens, which is what happened in the game. Black took with the king. I think taking with the rook might have been better, but I guess they probably wanted to keep it on the A file. I don't know. I was a little bit concerned about castling queenside because I thought like maybe this would be a threat eventually, but it was just too slow. And my queen was just such a bigger problem. Other problem I have here, like if this was a slightly more equal position and I wasn't up 2 pawns, would be that my pieces are not great. They're not very well coordinated here. So I need to move this F pawn up is kind of the idea. Just making a space for my knight. Okay, and now Black's knight is sort of threatening this. It's not a huge threat. It doesn't really do much. I guess they want like here and here, which was exactly what happened in the game, but I decided to like make this move myself, which they were already going to force me to make. But I want my rook on this open file anyway, so I was fine with this. So then when they did come to e3, I had the chance to bring the bishop back. I don't want to take here because then like I don't know. This pawn is their last hope, right? And even though I would probably eventually win it, it's just giving too many chances, I think, to like help them bring it 1 square closer to promotion, so I didn't take, but do they want me to take? Second best move is taking, but rook e6, which is what I found in the game, is the best move. Just pinning the knight to the rook. Oh, I saw a question. What's the USCF currently at? This tournament brought me to 1550. I actually lost rating at this tournament. But yeah, we're hoping to bump it up a bit this year. Because online I've got Rapid and Bullet already at 2000, which I know there's not really a comparison, but we're trying to get the USCF higher. Trying to play more classical tournaments, I think that will help. Oh, sorry, okay. I went too fast. King attacks my rook. I don't move my rook, I defend my rook, but also this is a move I want to play anyway because it's adding pressure to the pinned piece. So now we are pinning and winning that piece. I think this was a good move from Black, just going after that, going after the F file. So now say if I like take and take and take, they can take my knight. Rook takes g6 is still a good move. Wait, why? Rook f6. Wait, but what if they take? 95 check. Oh, beautiful. Okay, I didn't see this in the game. This is what computer wants. I will say I haven't analyzed this very closely with computer. I did all my like analysis the same night as the tournament, which I rarely ever do. But I did it without the computer, so I don't know all the lines it was recommending. 95, yeah, somebody else found it. Just with the check. I should have kept this in mind. I also had like a weird like brain freeze back here. I played g4 instead, just hanging onto the pawn. Because like the pin isn't going anywhere. So like, I don't know, moves like this I was pretty happy with this tournament just because I wasn't like panicking like, oh my gosh, I want a piece, I gotta take it, and just like slow down, Kamryn, it's okay. So now they brought the knight back. I realized like here I found knight e5, which I guess is just a little bit more forcing, but maybe it's not. Like maybe I just take here. I remember calculating this in the game, and I think this was one of the moments where I like lost focus and just like blanked out because this just also wins the piece. I thought they could take like this, but then I like, what? Or maybe I thought they could take like this, but it's the same thing, and then you're winning the rook. So I don't know what I was thinking, but you know, knight e5 also works. And now he took with the f pawn. they are going after that pawn now. I decided to win a pawn on the A file. And now instead of, you know, taking back as I expect they anticipated, then I always look for checks. Give the check, cash in, win a rook, and it was pretty tricky from here. I was also happy to find this move. Just bragging about all the moves I found. What was the opponent's rating? I think, yeah, you guys should guess. Because he was not 1350. I think a lot of people in my area are a bit underrated, and I know everybody says that, but like genuinely so many people in my state of North Dakota only play one tournament a year, if that. So like I said earlier, my previous opponent that we analyzed with Nate Solon, he gained 200 points at this tournament. And he played like a friggin' 2000. It was crazy. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but in your area they're overrated. Maybe I should come there. This opponent was okay. I was really just stalling because I forgot. Hold on, let me look it up. I think he was like 700-800. I'm just gonna confirm though. He actually didn't score too bad in this tournament though. One moment. Alright, maybe not. My Wi-Fi can't handle it. He was Pause champ. Yeah, his rating at the end of this was 871, but he's quite new. He has played 9 rated games. So the provisional rating is always like not like who knows. Some 1800 USCF start, 1900 on chess.com, one that's 2200 rapid, and you can beat on a good day, and then one who's 2200 blitz and 2000 USCF. Yeah, I feel like they generally converge once you get, like, all of the rating system would generally converge once the player gets to like around a 2000 level, I think. Or like maybe not 2000, maybe like 2200. But that's just anecdotal. I'm not saying that for me also. I'm saying like once people are 2000 USCF, I think they're generally like between 2000 2100 plus online, but I don't know. I mean, Blitz is a completely different story online. Because, yeah, if you're good at the faster time controls and if you play a lot online, your rating will just, like, if you compare the two different sites, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think a lot of the sites converge. Anyway, okay, let's finish analyzing this game. So now it's just a matter of I want a new queen, so I gave up my bishop. He can have it, I don't want it. He didn't want it. He wanted my pawn instead. And then I checkmated. That's how this game ended. We still have 2 more games, but it is getting quite late here. By which I mean it's like 9:30 p.m. There's some people watching at like 3 a.m. So maybe I shouldn't complain, but instead of g5, rook c8. G5. Rook c8. Like here in this position? Oh, I see what you mean. This. Yeah. Then it's really GG. Yeah, that is a bit more forcing. Computer likes G5 better, but I mean, it's all just winning. At this point, it's kind of hard to... They don't have to take, but it would have been funny, yeah. So yeah, guys. Like I said, we have 2 more games. We'll maybe save them to analyze another day if we feel like it. I got this insane... Oh my gosh, okay, one more thing. Let me just show you guys. I lost a piece in this game, but this was the final position. And I managed to hold a draw with 3 seconds on the clock. We got to the 50 move rule, I think. We weren't really paying attention, but somebody in the bystanders was like, is anybody like paying attention to the 50 move rule? And then finally my opponent just like traded rooks, but... So this was honestly my like biggest accomplishment of the tournament, was holding this position for some 50 odd moves. I was black, by the way. Yeah. Good times. Know your end games. It was terrifying. I still probably lost rating from this game because I think he was only like 1400. Only, I say. Or no, was he? I don't remember what his rating was. I can't even pay attention to the ratings around here because everybody's just so good. Alright, let's find somebody to raid. Who is live? Let's see. And nobody is up at this hour. I shouldn't say that. There's enough, I guess. You try traveling for tournaments? That's the plan this year, yeah. I went to a tournament last year where I did travel and I did play up a section, and I lost almost all of my games. I think I won one game, but I still gained rating. So I was like, this is great. This is the life. Why would you ever not play up a section? But anyway, yeah, I'm planning to travel a bit more. I don't want to put all my plans out there so you guys don't stalk me like creepers, but I'll let you know after the fact. And I'm hoping for the YouTube channel to like vlog a little bit more. Let me put one more thing in the chat. Check out the YouTube guys if you haven't already. Anyway, who are we gonna raid? Let's raid... Did we raid Hannah last time? I think we did. That was like 2 weeks ago though. Pulse is live. It's fine, we're just gonna raid Hannah again. Right. She's been streaming for a long time, hasn't she? I think she started before I did. She just ended? Oh. Alright. Good save. Who else can we raid? Should we raid Canty? Or... Oh, we could trade Min. Okay, let's do that. Thanks, Reinforced. Wait, did this work? Oh, I did the wrong thing. Hold on. Raid. Oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. Have I still not figured out how to do this? Okay, we got it. That only took us like 5 minutes. Jeez Louise. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. Keep an eye out for the YouTube video that'll be coming for the Nate Solon portion of the stream, if you missed it. I'll chop it down, and the VOD will also be up pretty quickly here, so you can also just watch that back if you want. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for all the raids, the follows, the subs. Appreciate it all. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great night.